So a little bit about me. So currently my name is Jake Robbins. I lead RPA projects at eCapital Advisors. Before doing this job, I actually worked at Anheuser-Busch InBev, working in the supply chain organization for 4+ years. A lot of technical stuff when I was over there. So I led the first machine learning project. I did a lot of the RPA work at AB to kind of streamline automated reporting, data entry, and inventory management. I also led a $8 million project to create a demand forecasting website. So a lot of different kind of things I did at AB. The reason why I switched over to consulting is because I really wanted to help out clients, right? I really wanted to help out other businesses kind of see the success that I was seeing at AB using this new technology to really kind of forward the whole economy as a whole with this new technology rather than just focusing in on one single company. So as we go on, I wanted to kind of go over some common industry challenges that we see with RPA and kind of why this solution fits so well. So today companies face many of the same challenges, right? And what I like to call these are the 3 C's. So the first one is consistency, right? People make errors. And these errors, no matter how small, can lead to large downstream costs. Our processes are complex now, usually having to interact with multiple different environments, be it some virtual nets, some different ERP systems. And with all of this kind of complexity comes a lot of training. And lastly, culture. Employees disengage with their job when faced with tedious, long processes, right? What culture is to me and what engagement is to me is the idea of going into work and wanting to help and wanting to succeed and wanting to do more, right? That discretionary action to get more out of your job. So what I found while working is that the more stimulating the work you have, the more engaged your workforce is. So we face many tasks today throughout our workday, right? Some of these include 3-year planning, strategy, business development, bot management, analyzing data, team management, hosting meetings, doing comparisons, rule-based decision-making and reporting. And when you chart it all out between frequency and the difficulty of a task, what we learn is that all of these things that are high frequency but not that difficult really open itself up to automation in what I call the automation sweet spot. So when we talk about RPA and robotic process and things that we're looking to kind of tackle with this solution, we look at these really high frequency tasks that aren't as difficult as things like 3-year and 1-year planning. So when looking at those problems and in our daily tasks, what is important in a solution to make sure we kind of tackle the correct issues, right? The first thing is sustainability. We want to make sure that the solution is able to repeat itself multiple times without fault, right? If we had a solution that worked one time and then every other time it may have worked or may not work, we have a problem. We can't use that in a business environment because we need it to be reliable. We also want the solution to be scalable. We want to be able to bring it up or down as we need based on the current environment. We want it to be fast, right? It should be somewhat simple to implement so that the results can be brought to production fast. And lastly, at the end of the day, hopefully the solution brings either a cost savings or profit revenue increase, right? We want to make sure that it's hitting our goal KPIs so that we're really driving that benefit home. So the big question, is there a technology that exists today that encompasses all of these key pillars? And of course there is, or else we wouldn't be having this presentation today. So robotic process automation really helps tackle these industry problems while still being a sustainable, fast, and scalable solution. So what do we mean by RPA? RPA solutions are software which integrate into business environments and simulate employee actions, right? This isn't just a script that runs through and does tasks. It really is a digital worker, something that is almost replicating exactly what an employee would do. So some of the basic capabilities that come with an RPA solution: data entry, following rule-based procedures, data extraction, right? Be it from an ERP system, web page, Excel, PDFs, your old contract files that live in the basement of your office, everything like that is prime RPA material. Data validation, report generation, emailing. And of course, there's much more than just these few things. So to really paint the picture, I wanted to give a few examples of what RPA is and what it looks like in a real world scenario, right? So I always start with a personal example that I did in 2014. I find this really interesting, and this is what kind of got me started on the RPA journey and why I am who I am today, why I love this technology and continuously want to work with it and see it develop and go forward. So we start with a little bot. And what I did is I would search Twitter for sweepstakes, or the bot would, not me. at the end of the day, once it was finished searching Twitter, it would create a list of these sweepstakes for me. It would then categorize the links depending on what type of sweepstake it was. And from there, I would send that categorization to different bots that I made that would enter these sweepstakes. And at the end, I would sit there and collect the winnings. So once I created this bot, I had no piece of this process, right? I just sat back and let it run. And again, it's a very simple solution, right? Look through for sweepstakes online and enter them. And what ended up happening was it was so good that I won around $4,000 of prizes a month from a very simple solution that took me about 3 days to code up. So again, very simple, but very tangible benefits, right? I saw boxes and boxes being delivered to my house all the time of things I didn't even know what I was winning just because I made this solution because I was bored. So let's bring it back to the real world now. Don't live in my fantasy world where I'm collecting these sweepstakes winning all the time. And we more likely see an example like this, right? We have a bot, create a program, reads an email. From there, you're going to scan through Excel. You're going to kind of organize that data from the email, put it in Excel, and enter it into an ERP system. At this point, we could put a validation step. If there's escalation, we can make sure that an employee validates the data. But if everything looks good and there's no errors, we're good to go, and it's going to place that data in the ERP system. I'm going to show an example like this live at the end of the talk today to kind of go over what it would look like when seeing a demo like this. But at the end of the day, as long as the process can be mapped, it can be automated. If you take one thing away from this conversation today, I want you to remember this line. When thinking through the possibilities of where RPA can play, as long as that process can be mapped, it can be automated. So here are 5 common buckets, as I like to call them, of different aspects of business, right? So the general bucket, data entry, emailing, report generation, document formatting. All of these are prime things for RPA because of how structured they usually are. Finance, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and operations, inventory control, shipment consolidation, forecasting even. In HR, benefits management, recruiting, all of these things, all of these core tasks are really showing benefit from having digital workforce through RPA solutions to kind of augment our employees today to kind of go through these processes. So when we talk about RPA, one of the things that's really important to understand is what are the benefits that we're seeing from this solution. So the first thing is improved employee morale. And this is probably the one that drives home the most for me because I find it really important. RPA solutions allow for your employees to focus on more strategic, stimulating tasks while not having to worry about the day-to-day operations of data entry, reporting, and emailing, right? They're allowed to focus on things that they find interesting, that they know will help the company grow and the business grow, rather than focusing on moving data between systems. Productivity. RPA solutions are fast. And you're going to see this at the end of this talk today when you see the bot that I created for this demo execute a task of data entry faster than you've ever seen a human do it. Reliability. They're always on. You get to schedule these when you want them to run. They don't get sick. They're going to follow the rules 100% of the time too, since you created the program of which it follows. So you know it will be right 100% of the time. They're not invasive, right? It'd be really tough to implement these solutions if it required so much architecture to get set up. But luckily, RPA solutions have developed to easily integrate with all third-party and even in-house applications. So your legacy system that runs all of your reporting and all of your data management, that's okay. You don't have to worry about the solution not fitting. It will. Compliance. Lots of great security features in the package as well to make sure that we're guaranteeing perfect security in your IT environment. What I like a lot too is that it's not very technical of a solution. What you'll see when we go through the demo later in this webinar is that it's pretty simple to kind of go from level, the ground level to having a bot run in production pretty quickly. And lastly, it's accurate. They don't make errors. They don't get tired. Everything just works. So what does a successful project really look like? How do you really go about doing it? And the first thing always is understanding what we set out to do, right? We want to understand the ins and outs of how the business runs, right? We want to partner not with just the business unit that the RPA solution is working with, but the IT, the HR, everyone in the business to really understand how we can make this automation journey successful. Once we understand the process, this is kind of where you go into this complexity review, where you concentrate and figure out how well the processes fit the RPA solution, right? And work with you guys to really understand where is it possible to maybe make the process simpler to make it easier for a sustainable solution. Then quick wins. What's really nice about RPA is that it's fast to deliver. And what this allows us to do is focus on those quick win scenarios so you can see value right away from this technology. From there, you scale, right? You see that success, you get that buy-in, that executive buy-in that you usually need to have a system like this run at the enterprise level. You scale up, you integrate it into your systems and make sure that not only we understand how the bot is running, but you guys do as well. And that's really where that documentation and training comes into play. What's nice about the RPA solutions and the software that comes with this technology is that there are a lot of videos, a lot of guides out there that help you understand how it works. And with our experts in-house, we can really drive that home, make sure everyone on your end is trained up. But one of the biggest questions you might ask yourself when thinking about RPA and thinking about RPA as a solution is, am I really ready for this technology, right? It seems almost like a pipe dream, having a system or a house of digital bots running through your processes in any aspect of the business, helping out, doing all these tedious tasks that you don't have to worry about anymore. And the answer is, we can help with that too, right? With what we call the RPA readiness check. And this is a 4-step thing that we have partnered with different people on already to show real success, right? The first thing we do is we host an executive presentation on RPA, similar to this, right? To really get everyone excited to understand why this technology is coming, why it's growing, why it's one of the fastest growing technology sectors in today's environment. Then we review current processes and determine which are RPA ready. Tell you kind of which ones are really good, primed for RPA, and which ones can use a little tweaking. And to that tweaks, we suggest those tweaks to you, right? Really make that process RPA ready. So even good process sometimes can use a little tweak to make it really sustainable in this automatable world. And lastly, we create a ranking of which processes are primed to tackle first, right? You might have 100 processes running through your mind right now that you think can be automated from start to finish. And we are here to help really explain to you kind of which processes in that list are really prime for RPA and are great to go first. So now that I've kind of talked about RPA a little bit and what it's about, I wanted to go into a small demo that I made for this talk. So I'm going to start off with this order entry form. So this is a very simple example, but I hope that you see how you could extend this out into different things in your business today. So I made this last week, and it's a simple form, right? First name, last name, your address, your email, your phone number, and an item of cost. Basically, think of this as an ordering. And the 2 items that I set out to say that we can order are shirts and pants. And so what I did was created an Excel document, basically, of different orders from different people. Of course, everyone is made up. All this information is made up, but it's very real, and it's similar to how data could look in your ERP system today. So what I will do, or what I will show, is all of this information here getting input into this form. Now, I wish I had a camera on here, because what I'm going to do during this presentation is take my hands away from the keyboard. I am not going to touch anything. That's my promise to you. And what you will see is once I start running the software, it's going to do everything for me faster than you've ever seen it with no input from me. So I'm going to move now into our environment. So we partner with a company called Automation Anywhere that houses the RPA kind of software, right? So the software looks something like this. And what you can see here on the left-hand side is a ton of different packages that come with the program. So application, open program files, migrate bots from different servers, move things from your clipboard, integrate from CSVs, from data tables, from dictionaries, from emails, from folders, from files. Again, it's almost limitless because it allows you to also script things from Python, from JavaScript, from VBA. So almost anything that you can do on your computer today could be kind of almost documented by these little blocks just like this. And what that allows us to do is map out a process such as putting this information into this form. And it's not that long, only 19 steps. And at the end of this solution, when I start running this bot very soon from now, you'll see it successfully enter all that data from this Excel sheet into the right places in this form. So without further ado, I'm going to run this bot and kind of show you how it works. So the first thing, it deploys on a server or on a local computer. So it's just deploying it now, and here it goes. Again, hands off the keyboard. I'm not touching anything. And I made this website. So from a website called JotForm, right? The Automation Anywhere and any RPA solution provider had no idea this form existed when they created the program. That's how extendable their solution is. They had no idea that this existed, and yet we were able to create this process where I have no interaction, and it successfully puts that information from that Excel book into this data entry form. And this is actually quite slow. I actually put pauses in it to make sure you can really visualize how these solutions play. However, in a real world example, each form for each person would fill out in less than 5 seconds. Again, super fast, super accurate, completely hands-off. And what I love is at the end of the day, once it runs successfully, it lets you know. Again, I hope that what you can see from this is kind of start playing in your mind how it could possibly work in your environment, right? Maybe you have an ERP system that runs on a website, on a web page, or is web hosted. Maybe you have in-house applications that you want to migrate data from. Maybe you want to interact with different folders in your environment and kind of take data from different places and place it into a different system. Again, all of this integration work, because of how many functions exist in these platforms, are all possible with the right mindset. So that's all I had today for a presentation. I wanted to kind of leave the last 5 minutes open to questions, and I'll leave you with any questions that you may had about this process and how it works. Hopefully that demo really did light a fire in your head to show you where the possibilities exist with this type of software. Yeah, so first question I got. So thanks for the interesting presentation. One question: how would a bot look like this that handled bad or dirty data, such as a number in a text field? What's really nice is that the solution has a lot of ability to manipulate that data with understanding how the data is dirty, right? So number in a text field, that usually isn't a problem because of the way that variables are handled in the software, where you don't have to really worry about that typing. But there are processes here that really help with the data cleansing aspects. And the people that work with us who understand data science have a lot, including myself, have a lot of experience with working with dirty data and have a lot of tips and tricks to make sure it runs. What's really nice is that the RPA solutions allow you to run Python scripts, and the Python scripts, with Python being a coding language, you really have this almost crazy sense of ability to manipulate the pieces to make them fit. Another question: how long does it take to set up a bot? The bot I have showed you today took me 40 minutes. So very quick. It just depends on the process, right? The more complicated the process, the longer it takes. But very simple solutions, it's hours, not weeks. Can you schedule a bot to run automatically? Absolutely. All of these bots with these programs are schedulable. So every hour, every day, every week, it's truly up to you when you want to kind of run these bots and work with your workforce. Can you implement workflow into RPA solutions? I would say yes. It'd be better to understand what type of workflow you wanted to implement, but I haven't found anything that isn't, you aren't able to mash up with these RPA kind of software. All really good questions. Can you perform screen shaping operations in RPA? Not really sure what screen shaping operations are. Can you elaborate what that is, and maybe I can answer? Another question, have your clients been receptive to an external firm like eCapital Advisors coming in and streamlining processes before implementing RPA? I imagine that might ruffle some feathers. It's all about the way you tackle the problem, right? So it's the same, I used to work at AB and we used to have similar problems. How do you not ruffle the feathers? How do you really get that change management underway to make sure everyone's kind of on board? And the true success to make sure this works is finding that champion who likes the software, who can be the bridge from an external provider like ourselves with the company as a whole. Once you find that internal champion to really help work the politics and make sure everyone's feeling on board and understands kind of why we're having the conversations that we're having, we've seen a lot of success with having that internal buy-in almost immediately after that. So not that much trouble with ruffling the feathers, but I understand the hesitation there and have worked through it myself a lot of times. So can you perform screen scraping operations in RPA? Sorry about that typo. That's actually what I thought you meant. I just wanted to make it clear before I answered. Absolutely, right? So a lot of the times, because of the way that RPA works, screen scraping or scraping operations are kind of necessary, right? So each of these steps where we're talking about like, hey, entering the first name into this box right here, that is done through kind of that scraping mentality, right? Different ways to call out programmatically where that box is on the web page to be able to interact with it. So that idea of screen scraping or scraping is definitely a big part of the RPA kind of mentality. Of course, working with that gray area that is screen scraping. Another question, which industries benefit the most from automation? Really great question. The answer is anything that involves a lot of digital work, right? So am I going to go to a construction company and say, hey, we need to implement RPA in all of your facets of operations, right? It's kind of hard when you're building a building to have a digital workforce worker kind of work alongside that. However, if your process is a lot of digital work, right, which is kind of seen across the board now in almost all industries, operations, HR, IT, just general finance work, it fits well. So to answer your question in short, almost all industries benefit from the automation, but there are certain industries that are definitely seeing more of an uptick now than others. Great question. So I know we're kind of closing down on time right now. Can I buy RPA software through eCapital? Absolutely. Yep, we partner with Automation Anywhere and enable you to kind of work through that channel to kind of start the program. And it's very, the way that it works and the pricing works, the proof of concept phase is actually very inexpensive to be able to implement a solution fast to kind of get that executive buy-in if you're worried about that change management aspects. All great questions. Awesome. So a little bit to close off. This is our first RPA webinar here at eCapital. I'm planning to host these more often in the future, and I'm also writing blog posts. So if you're interested in this technology or just learning more about it, look out for more webinars where we might dive in more into the specifics. Basically, hey, how does RPA work in finance? Can you show us an accounts payable or accounts receivable solution? Things like that. So look for more webinars in the future where I'll be hosting things similar to this, kind of going through some demos, going through some use cases to really paint that picture and show you what the possibilities are with an RPA solution. I appreciate your time, especially in today's environment. We're all busy working from home. So thank you for taking some time out in your day-to-day to kind of chat with me. If you have any questions, please reach out. We are here to help.